Today, I want to take you on a journey through a pivotal chapter in American history, a chapter that forever changed the political landscape of the United States. It's the story of how two men, Barry Goldwater and Strom Thurmond, played crucial roles in the emergence of what we now call the Southern Strategy. Let's start with Barry Goldwater. Goldwater, a Republican senator from Arizona, was a staunch advocate of individual liberty and limited government. In 1964, he became the Republican Party's presidential candidate. Goldwater believed deeply in the principle of states' rights, and while that stance was rooted in his libertarian philosophy, it led him to oppose the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964. Now, let me be clear, Goldwater was not personally a racist. In fact, he supported earlier civil rights legislation, such as the Civil Rights Act of 1957 and 1960. But in 1964, he argued that certain provisions of the Civil Rights Act, particularly those regulating private businesses, violated the Constitution and federal overreach. His opposition to this act was politically catastrophic in much of the country. But in the Deep South, it struck a chord. That year, Goldwater carried 5 southern states, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina, states that had been Democratic strongholds for decades. His campaign signaled a new possibility: the Republican Party could gain a foothold in the South by appealing to white voters unhappy with the progress of the civil rights movement. And then, there's Strom Thurmond. Thurmond, a Democratic senator from South Carolina, had long been one of the most vocal opponents of civil rights. In 1948, he ran for president as a Dixiecrat on a platform of maintaining segregation. He even conducted a record-breaking 24-hour filibuster to try to block the Civil Rights Act of 1957. But perhaps Thurmond's most significant move came in 1964, when he switched parties and became a Republican. His reason? He could no longer align himself with the Democratic Party, which had embraced civil rights under President Lyndon B. Johnson. By joining the Republican Party, Thurmond sent a powerful signal to other Southern Democrats who opposed desegregation. He became a symbol of the South's political realignment. Together, Goldwater's 1964 campaign and Thurmond's defection laid the groundwork for what we now call the Southern Strategy. This strategy sought to attract white Southern voters to the Republican Party by focusing on issues like states' rights, opposition to federal intervention, and law and order. While these terms didn't explicitly mention race, they appealed to the racial fears and anxieties of many white Southerners during a time of rapid social change. The Southern Strategy marked a dramatic shift in American politics. For nearly a century, the South had been a Democratic stronghold. But as the Democratic Party embraced civil rights, the Republican Party seized the opportunity to appeal to disaffected Southern whites. By the 1980s, under Ronald Reagan, the GOP had become the dominant political force in the South, a legacy that endures to this day. Now, I want us to pause and reflect on this. Both Barry Goldwater and Strom Thurmond acted out of their beliefs, Goldwater out of his libertarian principles, and Thurmond out of his commitment to the old Southern way of life. But their actions had a profound and lasting impact, helping to polarize our political system along racial and regional lines. It's a complicated history. It's a history of personal conviction, political opportunity, and social change. And it's a history that still shapes the way we talk about race, states' rights, and national unity today. As we reflect on these events, let us remember the lessons they teach us about the power of choices and the responsibility of leadership. Thank you.